All right, so that's pretty close to the gutter for me. I was trying to focus on keeping my hand really soft and try to stay behind it as long as I could to let the lane take it back to the pocket. And overall, it was really consistent. Didn't really see a whole lot of over/under with it, especially with the slight adjustment that I made with the surface. So now I'm going to take the solid Paragon and play in the same part of the lane so you guys can see the differences between the two. What's going on, guys? Frank here with 10 Back Bowling, here back at Park Center Lanes in Canton, Ohio, where today we're going to throw the all-new track Paragon Pearl. This ball features the all-new QR11 cover with the HK22 additive, along with the same core that was in the original Paragon and Paragon Hybrid. So super excited to take this one out to the lanes. Love the color of the bowling ball. I think you guys are going to like the color of it too. Let's see if you're going to like the overall motion of the bowling ball. But before we take it out to the lanes, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. All right, just like all the videos before, we're going to start a little bit farther right than we normally do because we're bowling on a sport pattern. So see what the gutter looks like, and then we'll just keep moving left as we go. Woo. Big bounce, big bounce. So the sport pattern that they have out today is the match play portion of this year's U.S. Open pattern. So, and this is leftover from that. So there were 4 games bowled on this with 4 on a pair. It looks pretty good from outside. Straighter angles. Just letting the ball pick up, let the lane bring it back. That's not too bad. That was a little right. So when it sees the friction, it's really responsive, far more than any other Paragon that's been made, and I mean rightfully so. It should be more responsive because you're slapping on a pearl cover with that HK additive. It's going to make it a lot more responsive. Even with the shiny cover, for me, out of the box, it was super responsive. I was just looking to blend the ball reaction out a little bit more, so I could potentially use it on a wider variety of patterns. All right, so that's pretty close to the gutter for me. I was trying to focus on keeping my hand really soft and try to stay behind it as long as I could to let the lane take it back to the pocket. And overall, it was really consistent. Didn't really see a whole lot of over/under with it, especially with the slight adjustment that I made with the surface. So now I'm going to take the solid Paragon and play in the same part of the lane so you guys can see the differences between the two. Okay, so solid Paragon. Same part of the lane. We're not going to change anything in terms of release. Much earlier. Definitely smoother, but much earlier. Yeah, a lot earlier. Definitely picks up faster. I'll need to definitely generate more ball speed if I'm going to hope to get this one to the pocket from this part of the lane. Okay, so a lot smoother, not near as much motion down lane. I would definitely have to trick it a little bit more if I wanted to strike from that part of the lane, and right now, I don't want to be that perfect, or at least I feel like I don't want to be that perfect. So we're going to put the Paragon Pearl back in our hands. We're going to make a zone move to the left and see what the ball does from there. Okay, so the farther we move left on this pattern, the more we get into the flatter portion of it. So this is where shot making starts becoming a little more of a premium, and you start seeing some glaring differences between both bowling balls. It's pretty good from there. I'm not trying to generate a whole lot of side rotation. I want the ball to be a little tamer, but with that being said, this Paragon Pearl really has some responsiveness and a very sharp motion down lane. Ooh, middle-aged messenger on that one. Oh, that was left. Yep. Yeah, that ball's not going to have much of a chance right there. Definitely have to get a little farther right, but I got to worry about the out of bounds too. We haven't quite flirted with it yet. Oh, that was wide right. Almost got there. All right, on this next one, I'm going to try to hit that same part of the lane, but I'm going to get my hand around it a little bit more and see if it reads it and recovers, or if it doesn't read it. Well, it definitely read it, but that was a little spinning too. Oh, all right. Let's make a better shot here. That's better. Yep, very responsive. A lot of motion. All right, so obviously the farther we move left on this pattern, the flatter it gets. So mistakes just seem to be a little more glaring. I noticed that I didn't really have an issue getting my ball to turn the corner. Even getting it to the to the out of bounds to the right. Granted, there's been a lot of lane play on the lane, but I still would expect to see a little more hang to the right, especially getting it that far down lane. So overall, very impressed with the overall strength of this bowling ball. This right now is very unique in terms of the overall motion if you put this ball up against all of the other balls within the 7 brands. So we're going to take the Paragon Solid back out, play the same part of the lane, and see if we have to manipulate the ball as much as we did with the Paragon Pearl, or if we have to manipulate it more. Definitely a lot more ball, but I still feel like there's a possibility that this Solid may give me an overall better look than the Pearl, simply because it blends the lane out a little better. Now, the true test will be when I get it farther right. If it recovers, we're golden. If it doesn't, and obviously that Paragon Pearl was a better choice. Yeah, it just spins the lane out a little bit better playing that far in. And in all honesty, when you're bowling on flatter patterns, you typically are going to throw some smoother, bigger balls to just blend the whole lane out. You don't really want something that's going to be super violent. But still can't keep the ball in, or still can't miss in on this right now. There's just so much friction in that spot. Yeah, that one I got around it a little bit more, and it definitely did not want to see the lane. Now that's where I think the Paragon Pearl would be a little more beneficial. I think it's going to give me a little more mistake to the right, but I have to make sure I get my hand around it to get it to recover. If I stay behind it, it just won't read it as much, and now I'm flirting with that 2-8-10. Okay, definitely a smoother, a little more predictable motion playing that far in. You really see the biggest difference between the Paragon Solid and the Paragon Pearl because of the responsiveness down lane. Paragon Solid is definitely smoother, a little more rounder, and slightly more forward than that Paragon Pearl. The Paragon Pearl really has a lot more continuation. So we're going to make one more move to the left, another zone move to the left. We're going to start getting my hand around the bowling ball a little bit more and see how much recovery and hold I can create throwing both the Paragon Pearl and the Paragon Solid. Oh, tomahawk 10, slow tomahawk. Recovery from this bowling ball is insane. And I got it in. Ball's money from there. That was wide right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't think much would recover from that part of the lane. Okay, definitely two very glaring spots on the lane that this ball seemed to find a home. One was obviously playing much farther to the right, loop in the lane, but surprisingly enough, the ball looked really, really good playing farther out and staying up the back of the ball more. Continuation was really good through the pins. Normally I have to get my hand around it just a little bit more to get my ball to go through the pins playing that far right. But playing farther in, I mean, even just rolling it off my hand, the ball really wanted to continue and drive through that 8-pin instead of being a little more forward, which is it's a pleasant surprise. We're going to take the Paragon out one more time, play the same part of the lane, show you guys the differences between the two. Still wants to read the lane a little sooner, a little smoother in motion. Still continues through the pins really good, and that's why I hang on to this one, as opposed to some of the other big balls that I have. You know, the early rolling snow tires. I just see more versatility out of this one as compared to some of the other ones. Most of them for me are just a little too early and a little too forward. But this one and my Envy Tour have stayed in the bag. One of the odd things that I'm seeing out of both of these bowling balls, especially playing farther left, is because of how responsive this Paragon Pearl is, I feel like it fights the fronts and the mids a little bit more than the Paragon Solid does. With that being said, I definitely see more overall motion out of the Paragon Pearl. All right, guys, there you have it for the all-new track Paragon Pearl. This is a lot of bowling ball for me. I see, a lot of motion overall, but at the same time, it does provide a sense of versatility because I was able to play a little farther right and play extremely far left with a bowling ball. On this pattern, the middle part of the lane was just way too sensitive for it. I think the track Paragon Solid would have been a little better ball to go to playing that part of the lane, but overall, I think if I was going to have extreme angles left or extreme angles right, I definitely would have thrown a Paragon Pearl. In terms of whether or not this bowling ball is going to fit your game, I think players that have a combo of high ball speed and high rev rate are really going to like this bowling ball. Most of the times, I think for you guys, you have to work a little bit harder to get your ball to be a little more responsive, especially if you have extremely high ball speeds. You're not going to have the problem with this bowling ball. Tweeners are going to find themselves probably playing a little farther left than they normally would with a Pearl Asym. Bowling balls like a Black Widow 2.0 hybrid. It is a hybrid, but it still is pretty responsive. Or a Radical Katana Assault. Now, those balls are a little smoother, a little rounder in shape. This one definitely is much more continuous and much sharper. So if you're looking for something that would be like a step up from those types of bowling balls, really, I think this would be a good idea to take a look at. Slower ball speed players, once again, a slower rev rate. If you're looking for a bowling ball that's going to give you more motion overall, this is a great one to look at. The Pearl cover is going to provide you a little bit more length than you're accustomed to seeing, but at the same time, it's going to provide you a lot more overall ball motion and responsiveness than you're used to seeing. So if you like the video and you want to get one for yourselves, make sure to stop by your local pro shop, pre-order yours today, or you can stop by 10 Back Pro Shop here at Park Center Lanes in Canton, Ohio, or at our new location at Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia, Ohio. Until next time, we'll see you guys.